Ladies and gentlemen, pain. Today, we're diving deep in the science of physical transformation with one of the most respected minds in neuroscience and human performance. Dr. Andrew Great Huberman, a professor at Stanford University and host of the globally renowned Huberman Lab podcast. Dr. Either Great Pain. Huberman bridges the gap between cutting-edge research and real-world application. He's here not just to talk about lifting heavier or running longer, but to reveal the science-backed strategies to unlock your body's full potential. Whether you're an athlete, a beginner, or someone simply chasing peak performance, this message will reshape how you train, recover, and grow. Get ready to learn how to build strength, increase muscle size, and enhance endurance, all through a powerful combination of neuroscience, discipline, and consistency. Progressive overload is the foundation for strength and hypertrophy because the body only adapts when it is consistently challenged beyond its current capacity. Dr. Andrew Huberman explains that the nervous system, muscles, and connective tissues respond to gradually increasing levels of stress by growing stronger and larger. Great pain. The concept of progressive overload isn't limited to simply lifting heavier weights each week. It also includes increasing the number of repetitions, improving exercise form, reducing rest periods, or changing tempo. Pain. Each of these methods forces the body to adapt to a new level of difficulty, triggering neuromuscular adaptation. Either great pain. When progressive overload is applied properly, it creates microscopic damage in muscle fibers. Pain, which the body repairs during rest periods by fusing fibers together, making them thicker and stronger. The central nervous system also learns to recruit motor units more efficiently, allowing greater force production over time. To implement progressive overload effectively, it is important to start with a baseline understanding of one's current strength level, often determined by tracking performance in compound movements such as squats, deadlifts, or bench presses. Once a baseline is established, a structured plan can be created where small incremental changes are introduced weekly or bi-weekly. These changes may be as subtle as adding 2.5 kg to a lift or completing one additional rep per set. Equally important is tracking fatigue, as recovery capacity dictates how much progressive overload the body can tolerate without entering into overtraining. Dr. Either Great Pain. Huberman emphasizes the role of neural adaptation in early strength gains, especially in beginners. Either great pain. During the initial phases of training, the brain becomes more efficient at sending electrical signals to the muscles. Either great pain, enhancing coordination and synchronization of muscle contractions. Great pain. This neural adaptation lays the groundwork for the physical structural changes that come with time. The relationship between stress and adaptation is also governed by what's known as the side principle. Specific adaptation to imposed demands. Grain. This means that the body will adapt very specifically to the type of training it undergoes. If someone trains for maximal strength with low repetitions and high weight, the adaptations will differ significantly from someone training with moderate weight and high volume for hypertrophy. Understanding this principle allows individuals to tailor their progressive overload approach to match their personal fitness goals. Another important aspect of progressive overload is periodization, which involves cycling through phases of training that focus on different aspects like volume, intensity, or recovery. With great pain, periodization prevents plateaus and overuse injuries by systematically varying the training stimulus. Monitoring biofeedback such as mood, sleep quality, and perceived exertion helps guide adjustments in training load and volume. The use of tools like journals, apps, or great pain, or wearables can aid in this process by tracking progress over weeks and months. Implementing progressive overload also requires acquisition to form and technique. Pain, as increasing load without proper mechanics, can lead to injuries that derail progress. Therefore, either great quality of movement always accompany quantity. Warm-up routines, mobility work, and post-workout recovery protocols contribute to an individual's ability to sustain progressive overload over time. Train specific energy systems to develop endurance effectively, because endurance is not just about how long you can keep going, but how efficiently your body produces and utilizes energy over time. Dr. Payne. Andrew Huberman emphasizes that different types of endurance activities rely on different energy systems. Payne, and understanding these systems allows for more targeted and efficient training. The human body primarily uses three energy systems: the phosphagen system, glycolytic system, and oxidative system. Payne, each system operates over different time frames and intensities. The phosphagen system is used for short, explosive efforts lasting around 10 seconds, such as sprints or heavy lifts. Payne, the glycolytic system supports moderate to high intensity activity lasting up to 2 minutes. The oxidative system is responsible for fueling long duration, low intensity activities such as distance running or cycling. Great pain. Endurance training should therefore focus on enhancing the oxidative energy system through consistent pain, moderate intensity work that elevates the heart rate into a target aerobic zone for an extended period of time. Pain. This strengthens the heart, improves oxygen delivery, and increases the efficiency of mitochondria. Great pain, which are the energy-producing structures in cells. Mitochondrial density increases through endurance training, allowing muscles to produce more energy with less fatigue. Interval training, including techniques like high-intensity interval training, HIIT or zone-based training, targets multiple energy systems and improves both aerobic and anaerobic capacity. Pain, by alternating between high-intensity efforts and low-intensity recovery periods. Either great interval training challenges the body's ability to quickly switch between energy systems, improving metabolic flexibility and overall endurance. Long, steady-state cardio sessions improve capillary density, allowing for greater oxygen exchange in the muscles. Dr. Huberman also highlights the role of lactate in endurance. Lactate is not just a byproduct of fatigue, but a usable fuel. The body can be trained to shuttle lactate efficiently and convert it back into energy. Lactate threshold training, which involves exercising just below or around the point where lactate begins to accumulate, enhances the body's ability to perform at higher intensities for longer durations. Training at this threshold teaches the body to buffer acid more effectively and increases stamina. Either great pain. Recovery protocols are vital to support endurance adaptations. Without adequate rest and nutrition, especially carbohydrate replenishment, endurance capacity can decline due to muscle glycogen depletion and central fatigue. Sleep plays a critical role in restoring energy systems and enabling neuromuscular recovery. Great pain, respiratory training, and breath control techniques such as nasal breathing or breath hold practices improve oxygen efficiency and carbon dioxide tolerance, leading to better endurance under stress. Your mental resilience is another key element of endurance development. Dr. Grain. Huberman discusses how deliberate exposure to controlled physical discomfort trains the brain to stay calm under fatigue, enhancing mental toughness and focus during long or intense sessions. Consistency in endurance training allows for progressive overload of the cardiovascular and respiratory systems, just as it does with strength training. individualized programming based on performance metrics like heart rate variability, VO2 max, or perceived exertion can help athletes and enthusiasts push their limits while minimizing burnout and injury risks. Sleep and recovery are non-negotiable for muscle growth because the body does not build strength or size during the workout itself, their great pain, but rather during the recovery period that follows. Dr. Andrew Huberman emphasizes the crucial connection between quality sleep, hormone regulation, neural repair, and muscular development. During deep sleep stages, especially slow wave sleep, pain, the body enters a state of optimal repair and regeneration. It is in this phase that growth hormone levels peak, pain triggering protein synthesis and the repair of damaged muscle fibers caused by resistance training, great pain. This hormonal surge supports not just muscle growth, but also fat metabolism and overall tissue recovery. Without sufficient deep sleep, these physiological processes are disrupted, leading to stalled progress and increased risk of injury. The nervous system, particularly the autonomic nervous system, plays a central role in regulating recovery. Intense training sessions activate the sympathetic nervous system, also known as the fight or flight mode, which increases heart rate, blood pressure, and stress hormones like cortisol. Either great pain. Recovery requires a shift toward the parasympathetic nervous system, also known as rest and digest mode. This shift occurs most effectively during restful sleep and deliberate relaxation practices such as breath work, meditation, or low-intensity movement like walking or stretching. Dr. Huberman explains that high cortisol levels, especially in the evening, can blunt the release of growth hormone and interfere with both sleep quality and muscle recovery. Either pain. Muscle tissue is highly metabolically active and recovery is energy intensive. The body needs nutrients, especially amino acids from protein, glucose from carbohydrates, and essential vitamins and minerals to fuel repair processes. Pain. A protein-rich meal within a few hours after training can optimize muscle protein synthesis. In addition, sleep supports glycogen restoration in muscles and the liver, which is essential for fueling future workouts and preventing overtraining. Poor sleep reduces insulin sensitivity and impairs glucose metabolism, making it harder to recover and perform optimally. Neural recovery is just as important as muscular recovery. Resistance training heavily taxes the central nervous system, great pain, particularly in compound lifts and heavy volume training. If the nervous system is not given adequate rest, motor unit recruitment can suffer, leading to poor coordination, decreased strength, great pain, and an increased likelihood of form breakdown or injury. This is why alternating between high and low intensity training days, taking full rest days, and practicing active recovery are all essential components of a well-designed training program. Either great pain. Huberman also stresses that naps, while not a replacement for nighttime sleep, you can offer benefits such as improved alertness, mood, and even enhanced motor learning if timed appropriately during the day. Monitoring sleep quality through subjective and objective means, such as keeping a sleep journal or using wearable devices, can offer valuable feedback on recovery status. Signs of under recovery include consistent fatigue, elevated resting heart rate, irritability, poor workout performance, and persistent soreness. Creating a consistent sleep schedule, reducing screen time before bed, and ensuring a dark, great pain. Quiet sleep environment are practical strategies that enhance sleep quality. Pain. Recovery also includes modalities such as cold exposure, contrast therapy, massage, and foam rolling, all of which help promote circulation, reduce inflammation, and signal the nervous system to downshift into recovery mode. Nutrition, timing, and protein intake drive performance and repairs. The body relies on nutrient availability before either grain, during and after exercise to fuel effort and initiate recovery. Dr. Either Great Pain, Andrew Huberman, explains that while total daily protein and calorie intake is critical, the timing of these nutrients can significantly influence how effectively the body repairs damaged tissues. Pain builds new muscle and restores energy reserves. When it comes to building muscle, pain, a key concept is muscle protein synthesis, the process where the body uses amino acids from protein to repair and grow muscle tissue. This process is stimulated by resistance training and further amplified by consuming high-quality protein within a specific time window after training. Pain, commonly referred to as the anabolic window. Pain. Consuming protein within 30 minutes to 2 hours post-workout helps optimize the body's ability to rebuild stronger and thicker muscle fibers. Dr. Huberman emphasizes the importance of complete proteins, those that contain all essential amino acids, found in sources like eggs, chicken, fish, dairy, and plant-based combinations. The amino acid leucine plays a particularly important role in triggering protein synthesis. Ideally, each protein feeding should contain at least 2.5 grams of leucine, and which can be achieved with around 25 to 40 grams of high-quality protein per meal, depending on the source. Spreading protein intake across 3 to 5 meals per day helps maintain a positive protein balance and creates multiple opportunities for muscle repair and growth. Pre-workout nutrition is equally vital. Consuming a balanced meal 60 to 90 minutes before training that includes carbohydrates, protein, and a small amount of fat can enhance performance by increasing glycogen availability, stabilizing blood sugar levels, pain, and reducing muscle breakdown during intense exercise. Great pain. Carbohydrates serve as the primary energy source for most forms of strength and endurance training. Great pain and sufficient glycogen levels support maximal output and delay fatigue. Either great pain. Intra-workout nutrition may also be considered for longer sessions, particularly endurance-based training lasting over 690 minutes. In such cases, quick digesting carbohydrates like glucose or maltodextrin, sometimes paired with electrolytes, can help maintain energy and hydration. Post-workout, in addition to protein, pain, replenishing carbohydrates is essential for restoring glycogen stores and supporting the insulin response, which helps shuttle nutrients into muscle cells. The insulin spike caused by carbohydrates also enhances amino acid uptake and promotes a more anabolic environment. Hydration plays a key role in this process, as even mild dehydration can impair performance, recovery, and nutrient delivery. Electrolyte balance. Especially sodium, potassium, and magnesium is necessary for muscle contraction, nerve signaling, and recovery. Dr. Huberman also points to the influence of circadian rhythms on nutrient timing. Either great pain. The body may metabolize nutrients differently depending on the time of day, and aligning meals with periods of high metabolic activity, generally earlier in the day, can optimize digestion, absorption, and muscle repair. Late night eating, especially of heavy or processed foods, may disrupt sleep quality, which in turn negatively affects recovery and hormonal balance. Supplements such as creatine, omega-3 fatty acids, and branched chain amino acids, NBKAS, can further support performance and recovery when used strategically around workouts. Mind-muscle connection enhances muscle fiber recruitment because the brain plays a critical role in controlling movement, tension, and focus during training. Dr. Payne, Andrew Huberman highlights the powerful interaction between the nervous system and the muscular system. pain, noting that when you consciously focus on the muscle being worked during an exercise, you activate more motor units within that muscle, which leads to greater stimulation and better growth over time. Great pain, the concept of mind-muscle connect, involves using attention and intention to deliberately engage the correct muscle group, pain, rather than simply moving weight from point A to point B. When an exercise is performed with poor focus, secondary muscles may take over, great pain, reducing the effectiveness of the targeted movement and limiting the gains that could be made through isolated tension. This neural control is refined through practice, repetition, and deliberate concentration. Beginners may not have strong neural pathways to a particular muscle group, which can lead to inefficient activation and a lack of muscle engagement. With time and intentional focus, the connection between the brain and muscle becomes more efficient, allowing for deeper contraction and a more complete range of motion. For example, during a bicep curl, simply lifting the weight without thinking may involve shoulder or forearm compensation, but focusing intensely on squeezing the bicep from the beginning to the end of the rep can increase fiber recruitment and time under tension. Dr. Huberman explains that attention is a limited resource and must be intentionally directed to the task at hand, either great pain. Training the brain to tune out distractions and zero in on internal cues such as contraction, stretch, and tempo enhances this connection. Visualizing the movement and even lightly touching the working muscle during an exercise can further improve activation. Pain. Electromyography, EMG studies have shown that when athletes concentrate on contracting a specific muscle, great pain, the electrical activity in that muscle increases significantly. This increased activity leads to a stronger contraction, which stimulates more muscle fibers and leads to greater adaptations over time. Controlled eccentric movements, when the muscle lengthens under tension, also provide an opportunity to intensify the mind-muscle link, as this phase of the rep often requires more control and attention. Pain, tempo manipulation, and slowing down the movement allow the brain to register tension and control more precisely. Removing momentum forces the brain to focus on muscle control rather than relying on mechanical leverage or joint movement. Dr. Huberman notes that this great pain type of neural training can be exhausting as it places high demand on the motor cortex, cerebellum, pain, and sensory processing regions of the brain. Over time, as these pathways strengthen, athletes experience improved coordination, better muscle symmetry, and a stronger ability to isolate lagging muscle groups. Either great pain. This mental engagement also contributes to lower injury risk as individuals become more aware of their form, joint alignment, and movement patterns. Great pain. Proper breathing and posture reinforce the connection by creating a stable base for movement and reducing compensatory actions. Training with the mind-muscle connection also has psychological benefits such as increased motivation, discipline, either great pain, and presence during workouts, which can translate into better consistency and results consistency. Not intensity alone creates long-term transformation because the body and brain rely on repeated exposure to a stimulus over time to make lasting adaptations. Dr. Andrew Huberman emphasizes that while intensity can spark short-term changes, it is the regular great pain, structured application of effort that leads to measurable improvements in strength, muscle growth, endurance, and overall fitness. Training intensely for a few days or even a couple of weeks without consistency does not give the neuromuscular system enough time to fully adapt, whereas consistent training, regardless of whether each session feels maximal, triggers cumulative physiological progress. Consistency builds neural efficiency as repeated movement patterns strengthen the connection between the brain and muscles, making each repetition more effective and coordinated. This neural adaptation contributes to better form, either pain, more efficient muscle recruitment, and increased safety during complex lifts. It also stabilizes hormonal rhythms that support growth and recovery, such as testosterone, growth hormone, and cortisol regulation. The body begins to anticipate and prepare for training sessions, improving recovery and readiness. Dr. Huberman often highlights how the brain thrives on patterns and routines. Great pain and consistent physical training creates a positive loop where physical effort reinforces mental discipline and vice versa. A consistent approach for better measurement of progress and more strategic use of periodization, altering volume, intensity, and rest across training cycles. This structure prevents overtraining and plateaus, as well as provides opportunities for deload weeks, skill refinement, and recovery periods. Without consistency, data tracking becomes unreliable and decision-making around program adjustments becomes guesswork. The ability to make small, great pain, manageable changes over time is one of the hallmarks of intelligent training, and it is only possible through consistent effort. Habit formation is another area where consistency plays a critical role. The more frequently an action is repeated, the more it becomes ingrained in daily behavior and requires less mental effort to initiate. Motivation can fluctuate, but habits sustain performance. According to neuroscience principles, consistent behaviors lead to the strengthening of synaptic connections involved in decision-making and action. Over time, the brain becomes wired to expect and execute the training routine, reducing procrastination and resistance. This neural automation frees up mental bandwidth for refining technique, increasing training intensity, or pursuing new goals. Dr. Huberman also explains how consistent training improves cardiovascular health, muscular endurance, joint stability, and metabolic function gradually and reliably. These systemic improvements compound over time and reduce the risk of injury, illness, and burnout. It's not just the training days that matter, but also the structure of rest and recovery days that are strategically placed throughout the week. This rhythm of training and recovery allows the body to adapt without excessive stress and helps maintain high energy, focus, and resilience across months and years. Psychologically, consistency builds confidence and self-trust. Great pain, which are critical components of long-term transformation. Great pain. Each session completed as planned reinforces a person's identity as someone who follows through, even when conditions aren't perfect. These small wins stack up, creating momentum and reinforcing a growth mindset. Progress may not always be linear, but consistency ensures that even small setbacks are temporary and do not derail overall goals.